Hey guys, good morning. Hope you're well. Happy spring. I feel like it's starting to break. It's beautiful. The leaves are starting to come out. A lot of pollen, but hope you guys are well. So the power of community. Everything you do in life revolves around community and the importance of community, and in business as well. I mean, in anything. I can start out talking about community in business. You know, when you're creating a company, you're creating a community. Right? I mean, there might be a service, a product attached to it, but first and foremost, you're creating a community. And for the business to be successful, the community has to feel right. Has to feel right to the type of customers that you're appealing to. So you guys have heard the saying that when you're selling something or somebody purchasing something, they're not buying the what, they're buying the why, right? Not the what, the why. So for example, I'm looking at my iPhone here that I'm using, right? That is the what, that is the object, but I'm not buying the object, right? I'm buying the why, the experience, right? The community that the smartphone helps create, right? It's the experiences. That's what I'm purchasing, right? Not the object itself. And that's the case for everything. And not only is it the right way to do business and the successful way, because that's what people want, that's what customers really want, is everyone wants to be part of a community, right? Everybody wants to identify with something, be a part of something, right? And to feel as they're a part of community. And when you set up your business, that's really part of what you need to be thinking about and decide what kind of community are you going to be creating. And we're really wired as humans when you look at it, because we have this technology today and we have AI coming online and all that, but us physical humans, we're only a couple generations off from a caveman brain. So we still have a lot of caveman tendencies, right? A lot of animalistic, a lot of things. The human brain is still the El Dorado, of research. That's the medicine knows a lot about the body, but still very little about the brain. And obviously AI is going to help all that, and supercomputing and Neuralink will help open things up there, but the mind is still kind of the Wild West. And we do know, right, community. Why is community important? Because there's chemical reactions that happens in your brain that are good for you, that make you feel alive, make you feel like your life is important and worth it, and all that is around community. If you just live by yourself and not part of a community, and there's people out there that live in the woods, they're by themselves, and they seem to have found happiness, and there's a way there. But I think for most people, we need to be part of a community, whatever that is. There's all sorts of different communities, and so everything that you create around you, and even your personal life, the neighborhood you live in, the place you choose to live, right? First and foremost, where on this planet do you choose to live? You're putting your flag down that, hey, I'm part of this community here. I identify with this community, and then down to the neighborhood, and then the schools, and the church you might be affiliated to, and the job, everything about a company. Again, culture, right? The culture that you identify with at work, right? If you're interviewed for a job, you want to be sure there's a culture fit there, right? That there's community fit, right? Above and beyond what your job description is and what the company does is what is it going to be the culture fit, and that drives everything, and it drives everything in your life. And you might not be aware of it because you're doing it instinctively, because again, that's what your caveman brain is telling you to do, and it's what makes you feel good. But so we do it naturally, right? Most humans do this naturally, and so just be more aware of it. Be more aware of it in your life in general, but also on the businesses that you think about and the business you create. Because again, make no mistake about it, you're creating a community. The community, how good of a community you create, is going to differentiate yourself, and it's going to be the difference between you having a quote-unquote successful business and non-successful business. And so the more you think about that, and again, the point of this channel and these videos I'm making is is from years of experience putting these bug in your ears to just think through things a little better, right? Trust me, the adage of just jumping off the cliff and go figure out as we go along. I've been there, done that, and I still, part of me still is that way. But I also like to think through things a bit more, and that comes with, I think, age and maturity, right? And so this is the point of these videos. I just, if you've never been an entrepreneur, or you're 20 something and you kind of want to start your first business and you're gun-ho ready to go, and all that is great, but just spend some time here with me just thinking through these different things that I talk about in this channel. And community, I've talked about traction a lot, and we'll continue to do so. Community is another pillar that I want to start introducing and have you guys think about and really narrow down in your business what community means. What does it mean to you personally? Because again, any successful entrepreneur, the company is a reflection of themselves and what they're passionate about. So what is a community that you're passionate about? Where you hang out naturally, right? Steve Jobs, Wozniak, the founders of Apple, they hung out with coders, with programmers, with computer builders, right? That was their ecosystem. Those were the folks, that was their church. That's who they hung out with. That's their community. So they created a company, a community around that. And that's what it started with, right? Before the first computer, before the first prototype, it started with community. So I know I'm berating the point, but I just want to make sure I'm driving it home. Hopefully I'm doing a good job of it. That everything around you is community. And a lot of the unhealthiness of what you're seeing in society today, especially with social media, is the undoing of the community, right? The natural community that we've built over generations as humans. And even though it was meant to connect us, and it is a tool, right? So again, I'm not sitting here saying that it doesn't work. It's like AI, right? All these things are tools, right, that we should be using to improve what we already know as humans, and not do what unfortunately a lot of people do, where that becomes a new world, a new community, and then people wonder why they're depressed and they're unhappy, is because they're not satisfying the caveman part of their brain, right? And obviously the dopamine, and make no mistake about it, they've done a really good job of reverse engineering social media to be very addictive, right? Just like fast food, they've engineered it, like foods, like Pringles, right? And again, I'm human, right? I'm human like everybody else, like a Pringle. Can I just open the Pringle box up and just have one or two? No. And if you can do that, then that's awesome. Congratulations. But I have a hard time not eating at least half the box, because I know they engineered that food to be addictive. And I got to go find the study, but I read a study long ago. The chips industry, right? That they figured out that it was more profitable to engineer the food to be more addictive, to have that existing customer, right, eat more of it, consume more of it, than to acquire, right, to do what it takes to acquire a new customer, right? Because acquiring a new customer is a lengthy process, and it costs money. And so I know I'm going off a tangent a little bit, but that food's, right? A lot of things, social media, a lot of things have been reverse engineered to be addictive, but you have to take a step back, and you have to stay a human, and you have to control it best you can. Don't let it control you, right? Same as AI. There's going to be a wave of AI coming along. Remember, it's a tool to you as a human. You're driving the ship. You're the human. Make sure you stay the captain of your ship. There you go. That's a saying for the day, captain of your ship. But I think there's a lot of truth there, and that's why community is important. You always want to go back to community, and human community, right? Interaction with humans. So social media is great. It's part of that. It helps kind of schedule things. Get people on the same page on events. All that's important, right? Blasting something out so everybody knows that's important, right? But make sure you do activities as humans. Once you've posted on Facebook and the group, and we know, but let's have activities where we're getting together as humans, because because even here as I'm sharing this video, right, and I'm enjoying kind of sharing the knowledge, I'm talking to myself here, right? It would be a lot more enjoyable if we were having this discussion with you guys live in a physical place where we could have a back and forth. That's where we learn. That's where I learn. And there's chemical things that happen in my brain that being there with you guys, with other humans, talking about these topics is healing to me as well, right? It's good juju for me as well. So don't forget those things. Don't forget the power of community. Don't forget that your brain, you're not a computer, right? You're an evolved version of a caveman, but you still have a lot of the hardware you have is still very much geared towards social interaction, being around others and like-minded others. So hopefully you guys found a nugget in that video. I'd love to do some live events, live video events, obviously down the road. Be great if there's a community being built around this that we can get together. I still have a whole of 1 subscriber after a year and I think 35 videos. So, back to traction, you see, right? One day you can wake up, say, like I did, hey, I'm gonna start sharing this. And by the way, I've been wanting for years to do this. So, hey, I'm gonna share content about what I've learned. And so from the time, I really decided to do it to now, right? 1 subscriber after a year, and that's okay. That's all right. I'll keep, what's important to me is that these videos are out there, especially, being a father of young kids. That's really where it came. That's really kind of pushed me over the edge to want to do all this. Is that in theory the internet is eternal until somebody pulls the plug. But this is content that my kids can view and see the things that I believed in, and hopefully can pass along this to them and to their families, and hopefully be able to live a better life and learn from things that I experienced. And that's really the goal of all that. And in the process, if some of you can also pick up some nuggets from that and it can be helpful to you, then it's a win-win. All right, guys, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. That helps get the message out there. You guys know the drill, and have a great day. See ya.